Your phone rings, and something happens inside you that you've never quite been able to explain to another person without sounding like you're making excuses. It's not fear exactly. It's not laziness. It's not rudeness, even though people have called you all three. Sometimes in the same breath, it's something more specific than any of those words. It's a sudden, sharp awareness of every possible thing that could go wrong in the next 30 seconds. Your brain starts running calculations nobody asked it to run. Who is it? What do they want? What if there's an awkward pause and you don't know how to fill it? What if the conversation goes somewhere you didn't prepare for? What if you agree to something in the moment and regret it the second you hang up? Because you didn't have time to actually think. So you watch it ring. You sit there completely still, watching your own phone like it's something happening to someone else. And then, the moment it stops, something in your chest loosens. Not relief exactly. More like the specific exhale of a person who just narrowly avoided something they couldn't fully name. And then, you open a text thread and type out exactly what you wanted to say. Calm, clear, precise, completely in control of every word before it goes anywhere. Here's what nobody has ever taken the time to tell you about that moment. That sequence of events, the ring, the watch, the exhale, the text, is not a personality defect. It is not anxiety you fail to conquer, or social maturity you never developed. That pattern is your nervous system doing exactly what it was trained to do. Across years of experience, your conscious mind may have already forgotten. The psychology behind it is real. It is documented, and understanding it might be one of the most clarifying things you've ever allowed yourself to sit with. Most people who live this way have spent years quietly apologizing for it. They let the call go to voicemail and then immediately send a text. Hey, just saw this. Easier to text. What did you need? They've rehearsed explanations for people who don't understand. They've told themselves they'll get better at it, that one day answering the phone will feel normal. They've watched someone else pick up a call mid-conversation, mid-meal, mid-thought. Just answer it without flinching, without any visible preparation, and felt something they couldn't quite categorize. Not envy exactly, more like confusion, like watching someone perform a trick you've never understood the mechanics of. And somewhere underneath all of that is a label that society quietly applied a long time ago. Avoidant, hard to reach, antisocial, difficult. Every one of those words carrying the same invisible assumption that the phone call is the correct, healthy, normal mode of human communication, and that everything else is a workaround, a coping mechanism, a sign that something went sideways somewhere. But that assumption was never built on psychology. It was built on cultural habit. And cultural habit has never been a reliable map of someone's inner life. What we are actually talking about is a specific, well-documented phenomenon in communication psychology called the preference for asynchronous over synchronous communication. It affects a significant and largely overlooked portion of the population, many of them highly intelligent, emotionally sensitive, and more self-aware than most people around them ever realize. Phone calls are synchronous. They happen in live time with no buffer, no draft, no revision. The moment the words leave your mouth, they exist permanently in the conversation. There is no going back. There is no softening what you said 3 sentences ago. Your brain, if it is wired a certain way, understands all of this before you even make the decision to pick up. It doesn't calculate it consciously, it feels it. That tightening in your chest is not irrational. It is your nervous system doing a threat assessment and flagging the vulnerability of real-time verbal exposure. Texting is asynchronous. It restores something the phone strips away, processing time. And for a certain neurological profile, processing time is not a luxury or a comfort preference. It is the difference between communicating authentically and performing a version of communication that doesn't actually sound like you. In 2019, researchers at the University of Gothenburg published findings showing that individuals with higher communication sensitivity demonstrate measurably elevated cortisol responses during unexpected phone conversations. Conversations with no advance warning, no preparation, no context. The stress response was not triggered by talking itself. It was triggered specifically by the unplanned nature of the call, the unpredictability, the absence of a ramp. What this translates to, in real human terms, is that the discomfort you feel is not about the other person. It is not about the relationship. It is about your brain being asked to perform at full social capacity with zero runways. And that distinction matters more than most people realize, because for years the discomfort got misread as withdrawal, as coldness, as not caring, when in reality it was the opposite. It was a brain that cares so much about getting communication right that it refuses to wing it. Here is where the neuroscience becomes something personal. The prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for language, emotional regulation, impulse control, and social judgment, does not process at the same speed in every person. In individuals with higher neural sensitivity, this region is more thorough. It takes in more data, it weighs more variables before producing an output. In most situations, this is a strength. In a live phone call with no pause button, that same thoroughness can feel like freezing. Like your thoughts are loading while the conversation is already happening without you. And that gap between what is actually happening inside your brain and what it looks like from the outside is where years of quiet shame can settle in without ever being challenged. This sensitivity doesn't arrive from nowhere. For the vast majority of people who experience it, it was shaped, not chosen, shaped over time through repeated experience. For many, something in their early environment made unscripted, real-time verbal interaction feel unpredictable. Maybe conversations at home were emotionally volatile and required constant reading of the room. Maybe saying the wrong thing once cost you something real, and your nervous system logged that cost without asking your permission. Maybe you were the kind of child who needed a moment longer to think than the adults around you had patience for. And somewhere along the way, you started preloading everything, preparing in advance because preparation felt like the only way to stay safe in a conversation. The nervous system is adaptive above everything else. It does not build preferences at random. It builds them around what has been proven necessary. If unscripted conversation ever felt risky, even briefly, even subtly, even once in a context you've long since forgotten, the nervous system filed it and restructured around it. It did not ask for your consent. It just built the preference. Texting became the solution it found before you even knew you were looking for one. And none of this is better or worse than the alternative. There are people who think in real time. Their thoughts arrive already dressed and ready to speak. The spontaneity of an unplanned phone call doesn't cost them anything. It is the medium where they feel most alive, most themselves. That is not a superior form of communication. It is simply a different calibration of the same nervous system. And a different calibration is not a competition. It is just a different way of being human. The problem only starts when one style becomes the assumed default, and the other has to keep explaining itself at every turn. Here's the counterintuitive layer that most conversations about this never reach. The same neurological sensitivity that makes phone calls feel expensive is the exact same mechanism behind something genuinely rare. People who need processing time, who think before speaking, who weigh their words with actual care, who never say something they don't mean simply because the silence felt uncomfortable, tend to communicate with a precision and emotional accuracy that real-time talkers quietly envy. Their written words carry weight. Their messages feel considered. People who text like this are often the ones whose words people screenshot and save, who say in a single paragraph what others couldn't say in an hour on the phone. The quiet cost is worth naming honestly, though. Connection often requires risk. Real intimacy, the kind that happens in the spaces between prepared sentences, asks you to be caught mid-thought and stay anyway. A nervous system trained over years to eliminate communication risk will, over time, also gradually eliminate the spontaneity that makes relationships feel close and alive. Texting keeps things safe, but safety and intimacy do not always share the same address. You are not broken. The fact that you watch your phone ring and feel something complicated is not evidence of failure. It is evidence of a nervous system that takes communication seriously, one that wants to mean what it says, not just produce words to fill silence. And there is something genuinely rare about that in a world that has normalized performance over presence, volume over accuracy, the fast answer over the honest one. The way you communicate has always made sense. It was always rooted in something real. You just never had a framework for it that wasn't built entirely from someone else's impatience with your pace. If you want to meet real-time conversation halfway, not because something is wrong with you, but because connection sometimes asks you to, there is one shift that actually moves the needle. Give yourself a transitional moment before you pick up or place a call. Even 10 seconds, a breath, a quick internal anchor. One thought about what this conversation actually needs from you. Cognitive behavioral therapists call this structured entry, and what it does is give your prefrontal cortex the ramp it needs instead of a cold start. You are not scripting the call. You are not rehearsing. You are simply giving your nervous system enough warning to shift modes. It sounds almost insultingly simple, but for a brain like yours, the difference between 0 preparation and 10 seconds of preparation can be the entire difference between shutting down and actually showing up. If something in this resonated, you recognized yourself in a way you rarely get to, there is a good chance the rest of your patterns have a story just as specific as this one. The way you go quiet in groups but come alive in a one-on-one conversation. The way you remember what people said almost word for word years later when they've long forgotten they said it at all. The way you feel things before you can name them, and name them better in writing than you ever could out loud. There is a reason for all of it, and it goes considerably deeper than most people ever take the time to explore.